Hello, welcome to the channel. Do you remember the Zenos E10? This is it. It was a car that was around a decade ago, a small two-seat lightweight sports car. The company didn't really go anywhere, but now, owned by the people who also run AC cars, it is back, and this is the first working prototype that they have.
So to refresh your memory, they sold around 150 Zenos E10s. It's a lightweight sports car with an extruded aluminium centre section as part of a composite and recycled carbon fibre tub. It has double wishbones at the front with push rods. Now they hang off of that central aluminium extrusion, so there is no front subframe. At the rear is a subframe, which is aluminium on this powertrain prototype, but that will probably become steel on a production car. Bodywork will become carbon fibre, and that, Zenos hopes, will keep the weight to just under 800 kilograms. And
it has a new engine. At the time we first tried it, it ran a Ford engine with a 6-speed manual gearbox. Ford don't make those engines anymore, but there is a company called Horse, which is a joint venture between Geely and Renault, and they exist basically to produce and sell engines to other people. So this has an engine which is actually used in a Volvo. It's a 2-litre turbocharged engine, which right here makes 380 horsepower. There may be other versions later. We'll talk about those in a bit. There's loads to do still on this car before it goes on sale, probably second quarter in 2026. They think. I will tell you more about that when we go for a drive, which is what we're here for.
we're driving this car on the road first, and then a few days later we'll take it to Donington Park Racing Circuit for a go on circuit, and I'll tell you as much about the car as I can as I go.
Okay, so you join me now inside the Zenos E10 with some letters after it. They've put them all after it. There used to be a base one and an S and an R. And I've just got it, so you're learning as I am. So basically Zenos sold, we think, about 100 cars the first time around. They were built down to a price, and that price turned out to be too little. So the company didn't make any money and it went under. Zenos was rescued a few years ago, effectively sort of rescued. The cars were bought by the people who run AC cars. Now, we drove a new roadster of theirs last year, which you will find elsewhere on this channel. And while I was down in the factory, they've just sort of teamed up with a bunch of people who make carbon fibre down in the south coast, and they had a Zenos under the cover down there. They went, yeah, we are going to bring that car back, but it's only in the past sort of year, 8-9 months, that they've got around to it. Their thinking is the market may now be right, because the car market has diversified. Before, there are lots of uninteresting cars to buy. There are a few interesting cars to buy, but there's not so many as there used to be. You can't buy a Lotus Elise. I suppose the Porsche Boxster is about to go electric, you know, but there are some enthusiast niche cars like a BAC Mono, Ariel Atom, Caterham 7 that are small, lightweight, good fun. In terms of the ride and handling, body control is absolutely terrific. This is quite firm. It could have a bit more suppleness just at the top of the damping, I wonder, on UK roads. But on a track, I imagine it is spectacular. Turning circle is quite good. There's loads to like in here. This car, last time around, had a Ford turbocharged engine. They've had a look at all the options, and they've picked a Volvo 2-litre, which is interesting because I don't think Volvo engines typically end up inside niche sports cars. But it's a 2-litre turbo, which, with a unique ECU and a charge cooler and some various other bits and bobs, makes 380 horsepower. Drives through this 6-speed manual gearbox, which is the same gearbox that you will find in a Ford Focus ST, as it happens. This one's got an open differential. It could be that there will be a limited slip differential when this car goes on sale, because this is the only working prototype of the moment.
Now, when the new Zenos lands towards the summer of next year, it's going to be quite expensive. They're estimating £140,000 because cars cost a lot of money to make these days, and it will involve lots of carbon fibre. Before we take the car on track then, let me tell you a little more about the proposed changes, particularly to the inside.
Because the price point is going up by such a long way, they are going to enhance the fit and finish of the interior. Now, they do that very, very well. These are the same people who make the AC GT roadster. Fit and finish on that, even on the prototype, is like really first rate. But there's things that are undecided. So it will get a mirror for a start, it will get a new panel here, and then they're not entirely sure exactly yet how to frame the display panels, whether it's one single instrument panel here, whether there's telltales in front of you here. But the short of it is, the quality, perceived quality, will go up. This is very much a prototype, that is the thing to remember. And if you think 140 grand sounds like a lot, because it is, so is everything. The Spartan is expensive, the BAC Mono is expensive, the Dallara Stradale is expensive, a Radical is expensive. All of these kinds of cars are expensive to buy because they are expensive to make. That is the short of it. The days of people turning out hundreds of 30 grand cars is behind us.
Okay, so let's see what it's like. It is breezy, I can tell you that much, so I hope you can hear me okay. Brake pedal feel is solid. Turning is really crisp. The steering is quite weighty, but really nice. A little bit of understeer. The tyres are stone cold, so that's not surprising. Gear shift is a little bit notchy. That could do with a little bit of work, I think. They know it and it'll get it. God, it's really, really blustery. You could have a windscreen, and I'm pretty sure that I would, because it is quite windy. Turning's great. Steering is lovely. There's quite a lot of self-centering. It wants to go in a straight line, which is fine, and then it really gets up speed. Brake pedal feel is terrific. It really is. And actually, because it's so good, you can lean up against it. Really good for heel and towing. Really urgent, especially at the top end, and there's very little lag up there. If you get on the gas, that's 3,500 revs. There's very, very little lag from there on, and it revs all the way round. Try and watch the rev counter to sort of 7.5. It's possible to get into a really nice flow with it, and actually now there's a bit of warmth in the tyres. There is less understeer. Loads of confidence through the steering because it's so weighty. Turning's really brisk actually, and I think, you know, it's the engine's in the middle. I don't know how high it's mounted, but you turn in and it's really willing. Yeah, and it will just straighten its line nicely with a heavy amount of throttle. The wind is an issue because it just pulls on your helmet so much. It tries to lift the helmet off your head. But now there's a bit of warmth into things. It's showing it's got a really keen balance. It's not a car with loads of downforce, I don't think. It's not like some of these Radicals and things that are running around today. But it is a car that feels really nice, doesn't roll, but it's possible to get into a sort of nice flow with it. It wants to be driven in a straight line, if you like, if that makes sense. The steering wants to self-center. It's weird, it doesn't feel like a, you know, like sort of like with a Caterham you sort of bung it in and sort it out. This feels like it wants to be driven in a smoother. They've still got to sort the chassis, but I'll be honest, I don't think they have to do too much with it. The proof of this car really is going to be in the attention to detail in the finish, and that will decide whether it's worth the money, because there are a lot of cars to choose from. It's really, really a very promising project. I mean, it was before, it was a good car before, it's still a good car now. Things just cost more. Cars just cost a lot of money to make. This is not a max downforce race car, but it is very, very good fun, and it does have the vibe of a very serious track car, but also really enjoyable on the road.
like really enjoyable on the road the other week. I thought maybe the ride was just a tiny bit firm and you just slacken off the dampers at the top of their travel, but actually as a car that can do both things, there's genuinely not much that does it better, I don't think. You know, this is one of those, get yourself something that can do it all. This feels like that sort of car. What a very cool thing. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to go and have a cup of tea. See you next time.